Hello, ladies and gentlemen of my subscriber base. I know it's been a very long time. I'll get around to explaining that in a different video. I'm using a different camera right now than I was before. I'm actually using a camera on my laptop, but it's HD, so it's technically better than the webcam I had before. But I'm still working that out. We'll see how that works. So, what has motivated me to make a video right now is that I was on another YouTube video about the top 10 game stories of all time. And they placed Metal Gear Solid way too low. It was like number 5 or 6. But that's not the point right now. The point right now is I read a comment. It's a very interesting comment. Somebody said that Assassin's Creed should be on the list. And that got me to thinking about a YouTube video that I've wanted to make for a very long time. And I'll probably make more than one. But Assassin's Creed is a series that has wasted such a great potential that it has had since the beginning, really. So, I remember, it was actually before I had a PlayStation 3, but people were talking about how Assassin's Creed was supposed to be a PlayStation exclusive. In retrospect, that would have been huge. But it went multi-platform to the Xbox as well, and much later on to the PC. So, I've always felt, and I'm definitely in a minority on this one, that Assassin's Creed 1 was actually the best Assassin's Creed. I defended the cliffhanger ending. I still will. I think it's a very interesting ending. I had to go online to look up what different stuff meant. And there was a ton of speculation. A lot of people actually had a lot of fun with all the speculation going on. And I thought that was actually a very good cliffhanger. It made me really interested in the next game. And it was a heck of a cliffhanger. Like, there were so many unanswered questions. So I like that ending. And I liked that game the most because although it was an easy game, like easy enough that even at the time I noticed it, you would die occasionally. It wasn't so easy that you didn't have to try. Now, the second game, I didn't like quite as much, although it's my second favorite. You're gonna see a pattern. I begin to like them less the closer to the modern time they get. But with Assassin's Creed 2, different character, which is a change I didn't like personally, but okay, it wasn't a big deal. They could roll with it and it would have been fine. The problem with that one for me is it got easier. The first game was easy to a degree that I found acceptable personally. The second one really pushed it, with being so easy that you hardly had to care about the combat. I believe that's one where they added in the counter button. I'm not 100% on that one, not 100% sure. But I believe they added the counter button, which if you know Assassin's Creed is basically a slightly more complicated version of a win button. Basically, if you know how to counter, you can win any battle, without any other strategy. So then the next one was Brotherhood. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and this is the one where they really lost me on difficulty. Because you had a true win button. I believe that was the game where they introduced the option to make arrows just rain down on your opponents and kill everything on the whole screen. I mean, that's okay once in a while to just have a nuke that you can use and wipe out everything. The problem is it would recharge, like, you could use it in every battle you had, basically. And that irritated me. It also irritated me that you had all of your Brotherhood members who could just pop up when you wanted them to. It would be okay if the game were more difficult in terms of combat, and I actually would feel like I have to use that from time to time to have a chance. But it's a very, very, very easy game because the blocking and countering became more complex. You got more weapons, you got better ranged weapons. I believe you had a pistol in that game with one-shot kill, or a crossbow, one or the other. I think it was a crossbow. So with difficulty, they totally lost me. In terms of the plot, I actually felt that Brotherhood was fine in terms of plot. When the second game basically ended on a cliffhanger again, I was actually okay with it. I thought it was kind of funny, like they were kind of trolling us almost, but I was okay with it. When Brotherhood also ended on a cliffhanger, I really was starting to lose patience. But I said, you know what, okay, it's a fun game still, interesting, The plot was getting a little weirder, but okay, we'll see where this goes. And then Assassin's Creed Revelations happened. A game devoid of almost any actual revelations about the plot that anyone really cared about. It did not need to be its own game. That's the one that really lost me, both in terms of combat and story. So in terms of the story, I just hated it the whole time. Like, I did not care about anybody in that game. They're all forgettable. I don't care. There are no major characters that I care about. I mean, the Assassin's Creed story has never been that good for having consistent characters who play a major role aside from the protagonist. I mean, I suppose you had the evil... spoiler alert for the first game. You had the evil guy who was actually a Templar who was leading the assassins until he betrayed you. I guess in the third game they probably did the best job, just because they were interesting. Like, you had Machiavelli and Leonardo da Vinci, and they were at least interesting, although I think they were interesting because you know who they are before you even play the game. I don't think the game set them up all that well. But Revelations lost me. In terms of combat, like, you can't lose, okay? They added in the Janissaries, because you're in, like, the Ottoman Empire at this time. So, they added in Janissaries. But I could wipe out the Janissaries with no problem. They're supposed to be, like, the elite enemies. And they were in real life, historically. They were the elite soldiers of the Ottoman Empire. So these guys were badass in real life. They should be pretty difficult in the game. So there's this one mission where you have to assassinate the leader of the Janissaries, or somebody in a Janissary camp. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while. So I snuck in, killed a couple Janissaries with stealth, and then took out the target. And then I'm in the middle of this crowd of Janissaries who are all just coming at me, and you're supposed to run. I didn't. I didn't run. I took out 30 Janissaries. About. That's the number I estimate there were. I killed all of them. You should not be able to wipe out 30 of the elite soldiers in the game. Because if you can wipe out 30 of them, like, I could have taken 100 of them. Like, they can't beat me. And I'm not saying, like, oh, I'm so good. I'm saying the game's really easy. You know, it wasn't even that challenging. It was just boring and long, because it took a long time to kill each one of them. I feel like with the Janissaries, because they're elite warriors, and hey, look, your character is the best warrior around, no question. One of the best assassins of all time. So it makes sense that you can take one without a problem. I think 2 should take some effort, but, like, you can probably take them, you're really good. 3 of them should be a challenge. Because, I mean, you're taking on 3 elite soldiers. Even if you're really good, like, you can beat them, but it should take some effort. 4, I think, should be really hard to take on. I mean, you got, like, 4 elite soldiers coming at you with weapons, with, like, special items and whatnot. It should be hard. Then you've got 5. I think you should hardly be able to beat 5. But it's out of the question that you can beat 30 people, okay? They're elite soldiers. These were the guys who guarded the Sultan. They are the elite. You should not be able to take them out. And as far as the story just made me mad, frankly. Because, like, we didn't learn anything. It got so complicated, so annoying, so convoluted. It's like they took the bad convoluted part of Metal Gear Solid 2's plot, where it got too complex for anyone to normally follow, but they made it dumb. Like, it's hard to follow because it's not done well, rather than hard to follow like Metal Gear, where it's just really complicated, but done well, mostly. And then the third game, which I haven't played the fourth game, I'll admit. Maybe it got better, but the third game, it was okay. Again, the plot in, like, the modern day was kind of overly complicated. The combat is so easy. Like, they haven't added any new combat features since Brotherhood, really. But the series has lost me, basically, because of combat easiness and because of a plot that I can't be bothered with anymore. It's too much effort and it's not interesting enough. It's not worth the effort. So I'll buy Assassin's Creed 4 if I find it for like $15, but other than that, I'm done. So thank you all for watching again. Thank you those who have stayed around this whole time. And leave comments below how you feel about the series. Bye.